what we're going to do here, quick one. And so welcome to everybody. And what we're going to do is we're going to do some live coding. And so I do have to do this to add in the Rust GENAI library that I maintain. I need to add the verbosity parameters. So that is what we're going to do today. So it's going to be a real library coding. And rather to do it by myself, I decided to do it kind of live. So that is a little bit things. Hey, VoidByte, love to have you there all the time. So really appreciate it. And so the repo here, let me copy paste in the chat. It's in the description, but just in case, you can also have it there. So that is the repo that we're going to work on today. So again, real coding, real adding to a real libraries, which is the GENAI, which talks to all of the major and could be custom endpoint as well, but to all of the major providers. And then many of them are going to use the OpenAI adapters, but Anthropic is actually talk natively, and the Gemini is also talking natively. And that allows us to have full control in some Gemini-specific things, such as the thinking budgets and all these kind of things. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to add the OpenAI, and we're going to add the verbosity new things. So if we go to OpenAI, I think I had it somewhere. I lost it. Okay. So we're going to go there, and this is a browser, and we're going to say OpenAI API Verbosity. So that is a new kind of API thing that allows us to customize how verbose the AI is going to respond. And right now in GENAI, we don't allow this property. So that is what we're going to add today. So what I would do, I would go to API reference. I think is that what I did before. And verbosity. Okay, that's fair enough. And then we have, going to make it bigger for you guys. There's a little of a delay here on the thing. Let me check that everything is good. And we're going to do a search verbosity. Okay. And this is because high, medium, low. Okay, so this is the way it works. We're going to do this. And this is a new thing, which is next to top P and everything. So we have the top P over there. And so when we send the request over there, we can see we send the message. They don't give the example on these guys, but it's next to the top P. So I think it's at the root of the request, next to model, I think. So that is what I'm checking right now. I'm going to check if that is at the root of model. My scroll is a little bit slow here. It's perhaps my... So, model. I'm going to look at that. Yeah, model. Yeah, this is a model. And I think... Yeah, I think it's that. We're going to assume is this. Yeah, we have the top, that's the response, but I think it's that. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go to my thing over there, and I'm going to go to my adapter. And the way it's structured, again, is I have all of these adapters that are talking. It's adapters, right? So it's an adapter pattern. And so I have the OpenAI adapters, and that is a guy that is going to talk to the OpenAI. And so I'm going to pin that. So I do Command K, Shift Enter, such as I like to pin things. I'm going to do like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a test-driven kind of development in a way, which is going to go my test P. So I test the provider P OpenAI here. So that is the test provider. So that is the architecture that I have. I have a lot of videos about that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask on the things. It's always good. And now what we want to do is add a new test, which is going to test the verbosity. So testing the verbosity is going to be a little bit hard. I mean, a little bit tricky, because how do we know it's verbose or not? So perhaps we send a low and a medium, and we make sure that medium is 50% more than low. And same thing with high. Probably we'll do that, something like that. This is the thing that goes through my head right now. And so I'm doing live coding right now. This is what goes through my head. So I'm going to put it, trying to find the good order here. This is a JSON, guys. I'm going to put it, the reasoning. Sometime I have another guy for reasoning, but I don't want to create another file. I'm going to keep that file, and I'm going to probably put it just after simple. That's fine. Trying to go from simple to more complex. So we'll go there, okay? And we'll do that, and we are going to do verbosity, okay? Now, the way it works is because I want to reuse the test here in different models. Right now, this is kind of a GPT-5 kind of things, so it won't be supported in other adapters. I might do something to say if I am on OpenAI, I support it or not. I'm not sure yet. But the point here is I have this pattern where I put all the command tests, and this is a place where they are. So if I do a command click over there, I'm going to have, and I'm going to fold it such as we can see it better. I have this one here, which takes the model, and then the option here to know what we check. And then that will do a simple test. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this guy. We're going to put it in the same order after. We are not going to need the check, because right now we don't need to check the check. And that is going to be verbosity. Okay? Any question here, feel free to ask. What we're doing again for the ones that are coming is we are adding a rare feature. So we're doing live coding, but this is something that I need to do for my GENAI library that is public, open source, obviously. And I'm adding the GPT-5 verbosity parameters to that API. So that is what we're doing right now. Such as when we call the API, we can give verbosity a high, medium, low. And if I press save, because it's going to complain about the check, so I don't care about the check for now. I don't want to check the reasoning, and I don't want to check that. And in fact, I'm not even going to check the usage. And for now, I don't even know if I want right now what I'm going to do. That is the way I like it. I have my debug print with Rust 10x extension, and then I'm going to debug print the content. Okay? Just like that. So I have a function here, which is a utility for support for my test, which just see the question, which is why is the sky blue? Okay, so far so good. Answer in one sentence. Ha. So now, because I've put that, it's good that I clicked on it. In my head, I'm saying, well, that was good for everybody else, such as I have quick test, but it's actually not that good for that specific test. Okay? Because that specific test, I don't want that, because in a way that would be controlled by the parameter. Yeah, so we can keep the prompt. That is a little bit why they did it, I guess. Because when you say, be concise in your answer, it will listen to you. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use, for that test, I'm not going to use a seed. I'm going to copy paste over there. And that will be my chat rec. Okay. So now we have this chat rec, and obviously I don't need that. So that's the way it works. I'm going to keep the // That is what I like, because if I remove it, it does like this. And for now, my brain is happier like that. So that's why sometimes I do that. And then I like to have my test here, something test and fixtures, or setup and fixtures, exec and check. So that usually is how I do the thing. And by the way, with Procoder and everything, I'm going to do the demo with Procoder and so on, but it does that for me as well, because I have the Rust 10x best practices in it. But so far, we're going to do it by hand. So we have why the sky is blue. And what we want is to test the verbosity. And for now, what I want, so I have a little script. I did a live on that. Hey, Deepak from India. Thanks a lot for joining, and the comment, always good. And so this is, I've done a video on that. It's a little hack that I have to put all my API keys without displaying them. And so now, if I use AI pack, you don't have to use AI pack for now, but if I do check keys, this is all the keys that I have in the environment. Obviously, I'm not showing them, yeah, but that I make sure is that. So we have these kind of things over there. In my head right now, I'm saying, well, should I create a branch for that? Yeah, let's create a branch. SC for me is switch create. I have a lot of aliases, and I'm going to say next, NX, and I'm going to say verbosity. Yeah? This way it will allow me to move, and then I will squash what I want, and I don't bug main too much. I don't do that all the time, but sometimes I do that. And if I work on someone else's code for a pull request, obviously that's my starting point. So now that we have this, I'm going to do the exec chat. That is good. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to, I don't even know if I need to pin this guy. I don't need to pin this guy. So this one I can remove that. That I'm going to pin it like this, such as I can close everything else. And now I'm going to call this function here from the parent. So I'm going to do, I have this cool function here, and thanks to void byte here, which show me, this is awesome because now I can do that like that. I have a CWT, that is a shell function that I have there. You can stop and copy paste it if I make it big enough, okay? And that is a little hack. It's not like by rocket science, but it allows me to have CWT. If I pass only something like test chat, it will run all the tests with that. But if I pass 2 arguments, it will assume that the first one is a file. Yeah? Is the name of the file without the extension, which is how cargo test works. Yeah? And then that will be my prefix. So I don't put common because this guy doesn't have the common. Common is just for this file here, common. And then I follow this practice. So I just want to test that guy. Up, like that. Now, oops, that's fair enough. There were a S at test because there's multiple tests like this. I don't confuse with the unit test function names. Press save, and that should work. It compiles. And then that should work. Any question, feel free to ask. So the reason here why I'm doing that all the time when I code is because I always try to find myself into a very iterative mode where I can do things in sub-second kind of things. Yeah. And so this way it allows me, for example, here I want to say I want to print the content, which didn't print the content, which doesn't make sense. That's weird. It should have printed the stuff here. because I have a no capture business. So is your system requirement? What is your system requirements? I'm not sure what you mean when you say your system requirements. Hey, Nguyen. So println. Why does that doesn't work? That's the question of the day. Okay, so something is wrong somewhere. That's fine. We're going to find. So it doesn't print that, and I think it's perhaps because my OpenAI, yes, is not wired. It's wired to the simple. So it goes to simple and simple stuff. So that was my mistake. Sorry for the one that spotted that earlier. And then we don't send that. Press save. And now we should have the two print guys. GPT-5 is a little bit slow. I love GPT-5 for coding, by the way, and I'm going to show the whole thing about Procoder and stuff. But it's kind of slow sometimes, even like things. Okay, so it prints the stuff, so we're pretty happy. And we see that, a short answer. That's not a short answer, yeah. And it's short answer because we had, I don't know what is short answer. Oh no, that is AI. That just giving us two guys. Okay, that's interesting. So it's sending us two guys. So this is GPT-5, I think, yeah. Or GPT-5 mini, I think it is. We're going to look at GPT-5 mini. This is the one, the default models that I use. Yeah, temperature, I think they remove it in GPT-5, but. So now we have that, and it's pretty cool. So now when I save, you see, I always print below. So it's a very iterative mode. So now what I do, typically I open a new kind of terminal like that and log. And what this commit is going to be about adding OpenAI, adding verbosity parameter. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is git c, which is git commit -a-m stuff. I have many aliases. That is a new addition. This is OpenAI. This is my little kind of best practices. And then I'm going to say add verbosity parameter. I don't know if what word is parameter or not, but that is a way. Boom. So now if I go to git log, will be that. Now, obviously, we didn't do it yet. But my point is that will be my base commit in this branch. And then I might do some temporary commit on top of it. Or I'm going to do git amend to this one. And at the end, I will squash everything back to this one. Because I just want one commit back to main. I don't need to have all the thinking process, but I like to have my checkpoints. Yeah? Like in video games, we have our quick save. Yeah? So I'm using git as my quick save sometimes. And then I amend it and I squash it. So that's the stuff. Your system spec, I'm assuming, so XOF, IXOF, I'm assuming that you are asking me my computer. So I have a M3 and all maxed out. I'm a little bit crazy. You don't need to all maxed out, but because I have video editing and then sometimes I do AI or Llama and stuff, I maxed out everything. So it's a little bit a crazy config, but it's a M4. And the question here from Meo is, could you tell me the best way to practice Rust? I'm a cloud engineer, AWS. This is a good question. There's a couple of things here, I think is, and I'm going to be a little bit on the bias side because I'm fine to be biased actually. If you don't have an opinion, sometimes people say opinionated architecture or whatever, and I was like, well, if you don't have an opinion, what's your architecture is about? So if you go to YouTube and then Jeremy Sean, no, if you go actually, well, you can go there, or you can go to Rust 10x. I put some videos there. There's some cool video. The one that I will recommend for you will be the 9 best practices, guys. This is cool stuff because I put all the best practices that I have and the 5 steps to learn. And in the 5 steps to learn, I show the XP pattern. Yeah, which is when I learn a new library or new things, I do a Rust-XP- something. So a lot of the videos here, like the SQLite and everything, they are a Rust-XP- something. And that allows you to learn very well library by libraries and everything. And then my recommendation is do libraries on your local, and it's not only for cloud, yeah, that are useful to you. Yeah, that's my advice. So when you code, I have a little CD like diff, which is directory information. And I put it's there, yeah. It's a little bit slow because it goes to the .git again. But it's a little library that does work and it tells me how many files it found. So the reason why it's so high is because the .git, how big it is, and then, you know, all of this kind of where the stuff is and everything. Oh, it's because it goes to target. This is why it's big. And then, so that is one thing, a little utilities that I've done by myself. And what I do is cargo. This is a magic stuff. Cargo, when you do your library, cargo watch. So you install cargo watch. I like cargo watch. You can use watch exec or whatever. Yeah. But you do, so quiet, clear, and then you do X. And then here's the trick. Install path -- path dot. It won't work here because this is not a binary. But when that is a binary, you do that, and every time you change a code, the binaries that you are using, you can use it in any terminal. So it's like a Python or something, but you are coding Rust. It's as efficient because it's just REPL. Yeah, you just save it, it will recompile it, and then you can run it somewhere else. So that I use that a lot for a lot of my utilities. Yeah, so that is a good way. And then when you are ready to create a web app, and I'm going to go back there, but there's a video here which I'm going to update soon. It's a long overdue. Is the Rust Axiom course. So that was with you all, but I think it's a good one. And then the Rust web app coding, which allows to do the web app. Now, a cloud app, you want to have a multi-service architecture. And I don't have it here. I need to add it. The one that I did with Valky Redis Stream is an important one. Yeah, so this one is a good one. So anyway, hopefully it's not too long of an answer. Yeah, the way, also, Xorf here, good question here. How do you do quick checkpoint? And checkpoint is a cool name, but it's typical kind of Git best practice kind of way. I'm going to show that later, okay? But so hold it. We are going to do checkpoints, and then we'll merge it. So what I like to do is we have the track X, so we have the things, and now I go back there and I press save, and then I'm going to see. So obviously, this is going to be pretty big. It's running, it's kind of slow. It's annoying. Okay, and now I have this long stuff. Okay, so this is the thing. The reason why it's slow is not the Rust compiler, it's GPT-5 that is slow. So now, what we want, so perhaps what we can do is we can cheat a little bit. There's one thing which is very cool in, so we're going to cheat a little bit on this one for now. But there's a cool thing with GENAI libraries is you can put actually 5 nano, and you can put the rezoning level as a suffix. And if there is a suffix, I will apply it. I will remove it and apply it. And so GENAI will do the right thing. So we're going to do a low. You can do even minimal. So we're going to press save. Now the trick of that is, then it's getting tricky, yes? If you have a low rezoning Do you get more content than a high reasoning, which usually you do, less content? This one is pretty verbose. So we're going to use that because it's much faster, okay? And we're going to see with the verbosity, so that's good. So a good example here, I changed this, so now it's stuff, but there is no value of creating a new commit for that. Yeah. So I'm going to git amend. And git amend is very dangerous. Yeah, you want to make sure actually you want to have the muscle memory to have git log, and you want to make sure that you're okay to do a git amend there. Yeah, so that will squash it there. You don't want to go. It's a tricky one, and that is an alias of mine. So I have a good muscle memory right now. You want to be careful because once you amend, it's virtually impossible or super hard to revert back. Yeah, I don't even know how I will do it. So the trick here is we're amending that because there is no value of keeping that out. And then eventually the final code will remove this one because we want to work with whatever models come from outside. Now, what we want is we want in the chat request, we can put the way it works with GenAI is you have what is called a chat option. Okay? So here we are inside the thing, so we can go options. And chat option, we're going to pin it as well. You can set it up at the client level. So when we create our client here, you can build your client and then you can set a default chat option for everybody. Or you can set it up every time you run a chat. Yeah, so I decouple the two, such as we have the flexibility of saying the default and the thing, and they merge each other. Yeah, so that's the way it does. Yeah, rebase and squash. Yeah, so this is the NGUI, and this is good things. Yeah, there are also many useful discussions in the Discord server about the architecture. Yes, and the void byte is super, is very advanced there. So feel free to join the Discord. It's in the description. And I'm going to do much more now. AI Pack is, I'm going to talk about AI Pack later, but AI Pack is relatively solid now, so I'm going to use it a lot to do cloud application with the best practices. The 3 hours videos will be inside, and so stuff are going to get super cool. And we are going to be able to use AI, but for coding our way and not the AI way. And then once we have that, things are going super fast. So anyway, so on this one here, I'm relatively happy. I had this, I press save, the thing update over there. Now it's not too slow. And so now in the chat option, what I need is, you can see, we can see actually like that. Let's see. We can do, just to show how it works. So we're going to do, we could put it at the client level or at the request level. I'm thinking I'm going to put it at the request level, okay? When we do the request, when we do the exec chat. So we're going to do that, chat options, same thing. And we do chat options. And then we do with what we can do. So we have default. So I have an inline in-place builder. Yeah, so there's not a builder specific for that guy, but he has builder API to augment. A client has a client builder. So usually when there's an object like a client or something, I have a specific client builder. But when I have substruct, the object has fluid builder-like APIs. Yeah? So this is what we have. So for example, here, if we didn't have the law here, yeah, we just have the nano. If we press staff save here, we're going to see that that should be a little bit slower. So when it start now. And we're going to see, I don't have the time here, but we see that, you know, the guy could be faster. Okay. Now, if we put the law here, press save, and then I would have done that by myself as well to see the time difference here. A little bit faster. Yeah, we can see it's faster. So now one other way we can do that is rather to have in the model name, we are going to have it in the chat option. So what we're going to say is default, and then we do with, and I think is reasoning effort. Okay. And then the value is, what is the value is? The value is is a reasoning effort. And is high, low, medium. Okay, I don't, and you can put the budget. So that is a cool thing about GenAI that usually other libraries doesn't do. Usually libraries, they are doing OpenAI API and they are using the OpenAI compatibility layer of each provider. In our case, for Gemini, I go directly the native way. So that allows us to be very precise on the budget. Now, to be honest, it's not really needed to know exactly because I also support low, medium, high, but I support something very cool for Flash is a -0. So you can ask Flash with 0 budget. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, all of that to say that we can put the reasoning effort, and I added that. That is for Gemini 5, GPT-5. And so we're going to do that guy. Command dot, and we're going to do low. Okay? So that will create. So the way I set up my thing is I don't like to have the inlays usually most of the time, but I like to be able to toggle them on. I like that a lot. So I have I think I'm using an extension which is called toggle or something like that, and then I toggle the inlay on off. Yeah, so this is what I have. So now that I have this, I press save. So obviously I don't do that, but now I can do that, and I can do sum of that guy. And I think it's a sum of a reference here. I'm not going to press save here. I'm going to let the stuff. There's a very cool video, a very old but very cool video from Logan Smith, and he's spot on where he says that don't have option, don't do that, do that. And it has a cool video, explain why and things. It's a very cool video, and he's spot on. So that is what I try most of the time to do this. I think there's some exception, but they are very rare. So usually the go-to is to do something like that. So here I didn't want to require people to clone it all the time. So that's why I took a reference, because I don't need a clone. I don't need to own it. So now when we press save, we're going to see, and it's hard, but we're going to see that, well, it's going to be relatively fast. It's on the fast side. So that's good. But what we see is that we do not have the verbosity mode. Yeah? But I have it. But we have everything else here, which is a stop sequence and everything. So in fact, it's relatively easy now. I mean, simple. I hate easy. Easy is evil, but simple is nice. And so I go to normalize reasoning effort. So it's fair enough, will be after reasoning effort. And then they have, I think, if we go to look at the API, it's a high, medium, low business as well. Yeah, it's a high, medium, low. This is what they have over there. Yeah. So now, it's weird every time I go. Let me see if I. Oh, my Safari was making my whole thing very slow. So, okay, we'll get that. But I think we have enough for now. So what we're going to do is verbosity for OpenAI GPT-5. So my question in my head was, well, should I add something like that just for OpenAI? But OpenAI is kind of the big fish in a way. So I'm saying, well, we're going to add it. I think it's nice if people want to have it. Personally, I'm probably going to still do in the prompt way to tell the model how much I want in a semantic way. But I understand why they did that. And so I want to add it, such as if people have different workflows, they can use GenAI the way they want it. Verbosity. But I'm not sure that those guys are going to, other people are going to support it in the application layer. So now, any question here? I just started learning Rust. Any advice? Yes, do little utilities for yourself that are useful only to you, even if they are already done. And you do cargo watch install -- pass dot. Something like that, such as you can, every time you press save, it will reinstall your binary. And that is a great way of doing little utilities that you always wanted to do, but you do it for yourself and you learn, APIs and everything. This is a great way to use. And then you can go to my videos. I have the 9 best practices, which is a good one to follow. And then there's 3, I think, videos. And then the other good one is a 5-step to learn Rust. And that is some of the steps that I follow myself. So that's my thing. Otherwise, the Rust book is good. Let's Get Rusty is also a good YouTube, is an awesome YouTube one. So you have those stuff. So now you go to reasoning effort. And so now the question is, since we have the high, medium, low, we have 2 ways of doing it. We have one way we can say, hey, we are going to reuse reasoning effort. Now, it wouldn't be nice to have reasoning effort because it will be weird. So now we need to find a common name. Effort will kind of work, but will be weird. But again, it's because the other guys might probably not do it. I might just do a verbosity kind of type. So I will do something like that. And I like my region here. So like this in VS Code, I can close it. So I'm going to take that guy. And then I'm going to, a little bit on the ugly side here. I'm not saying you should do that. We're going to have verbosity. And so this guy and this guy, city. And we're just going to call it verbosity. We don't need the budget here. And the reason why I'm calling it like that is because before I had all of these kind of things and I was relatively happy with it. So I want to keep the same model, the symmetry in a way of the API. And but I want to do it slowly to make sure that I can reassess if those were a good idea or not. Yeah, so that is good. That's good. This one, we don't need it. We don't need minimal. We don't need minimal. And we don't need minimal. I don't know why they added minimal. I feel that minimal, for the reasoning, I feel that it's the same as low. I'm not sure. And by the way, here I might have a bug here. Okay, interesting. This might be the reason why it looks like it's the same. So we have this. Okay, that was a little bit the thing. So now I have an issue. Yeah, I have a me problem here. I just realized by doing these things carefully that I have a bug. I don't know if you spotted it, but the bug is up. I'm going to do that. This guy. Oh, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my error. I'm going to do that, fail to parse. I don't like this parsing error. What do I do? Yeah. I don't like this parsing error at the end. Usually it's not a good practice when you have error and then you repeat error. It's not a good thing. So I should remove it there, but I don't want to change that for now. Don't want to do a breaking of something else for now. So I'm going to do verbose parsing. So that, I don't know why I did that. It's usually it's a bad practice. Yeah. Might be some stuff. So what it is. From keywords. Oh, yeah, but we don't have that, yeah? Yeah, we have some, just that. Because the other guy has a budget, yeah. So that's it. So now we're almost there. I think this guy is Verbosity. That should be Verbosity. And that's good. Still have silly stuff here that doesn't compile. Okay. So F8. Option, that's fair enough. That will be our verbosity. And why that is this guy? If model main end with effort. Wow, what did I do? Did I break something silly here? That shouldn't have changed that. Why he complains here? Oh, wow. I might have. Ah, okay. Sorry. Good. Okay. So now we have everything that pass that. And usually I might have used Procoder for this kind of things, but it thinks, hey, Carl, doing good. Doing some live coding today. What we're doing is we're adding verbosity of OpenAI, GPT-5 to GENAI. That is what we are doing today in the Rail library. So now I have these kind of things. And when I press save, I see that my test is still running and everybody is happy. Okay. So here's my checkpoint here. Someone was asking about the checkpoint. Here's the way I do. And then after I squash, yeah. But I'm going to do a git. And I want to keep that as a separate commit to see if I missed something or messed up something, I can go back and fix it. So what I do, I have this kind of tilde. And tilde is just a me thing. Yeah? So be careful. Everything I'm saying is you have to make your own best practices by cherry picking what makes sense. There's no Bibles in coding. So I'm just telling you my best practices and then you understand why, and then you make your own best practices. It's all about focusing on doing good engineering. And there's not only one way, you have to make it your own way or your team way. Yeah? So what I do is I do a tilde, and usually tilde doesn't commit. Sometimes they commit, but tilde, I know that I'm going to merge them. Yeah? And here I'm going to say it's a verbosity. So like this, it's easy for my brain to know that it's about the verbosity stuff. And I say first pass at chat options. And that won't go out anyway. Yeah, it's git C. I have an alias with C, which is commit. And now if I do git log, I get this guy, which everybody will be collapsing to, but I get this checkpoint here. And then I will remove the checkpoint later. So this is a little bit the way I do when I do stuff like that. Okay. So we have these things now, and I'm pretty happy because I have the verbosity there. And I think I might be missing some from verbosity and all these kind of things and stuff. So we have two options here to do it. And I'm going to do it the way I will do it, okay? So you see I have with reasoning effort, all these kind of things. And then there's another one, which I think is the set. Option set. So I'm not super proud of this one, but I'm going to, because the option, they can be merged together. What I've created is what I call a chat option sets, which is a hard-coded. It's not a dynamic list, but it's, you have the client options. and then you have the chat option. And then I repeat all of the things here, such as you can get temperature and all these kind of things. So at the end of the day, it's kind of annoying, yes, because I mean, the API is cool when we use it, but to write it is annoying because I have to write, with over there and all these kind of things. And, I could add it, I guess, but, I could add it manually. Or what I could do is using my Procoder stuff. And that is the AI pack. And so I go to the prompt, and this is the opposite of vibe coding. A vibe coder will see that, it will get seasick extremely fast. It will have a very bad ride here. But the way it works is, parametric prompt is my coder prompt. That is a parameter that I put in YAML, could be actually 2ML or JSON. That is my prompt, and this is the answer. And then there's a terminal UI here that we're going to see. So what we need is the keys over there. And we're going to go to the parameter prompt. Here's where I have a pack, which is my Rust 10x, best practices. This is my context globes. And context globe is what the file content is going to be given to the AI. Structure globes just list the names. So I want to give the AI all of the globes, but all of the file names, such as it knows the structure of the project, but I don't want to give it all the file content. That's the difference between Cloud Code and Cursor and Procoder, which is a pack of AI pack, is that you control exactly what you send. So in this case, what I want is to say, hey AI, don't start being smart. I know what I want you to do. I want you to update this file. And actually only this file. Do I need to give him another context? Perhaps not even, yeah. So I'm going to be happy with that. And so I want to make sure that I'm always committed. I don't want to, when you use AI, use Git for your checkpoints. Super important because you want to be able to do Git restore. Yeah, it's not like an accept stuff. I don't know why people are doing that. I mean, I know because they don't want to talk to coders. They want to make non-coders coders. So in this case, you have to have the non-coders that don't want to learn Git. So you're trying to have an alternative solution. When you work with AI, Git commit discipline is super important. Yeah. So now we have this. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to do a prompt here and what I want. So I have the write mode true and I have GPT-5. I like GPT-5 these days. And I'm going to say in chat options, hey, Mohammed, in chat options, I just started to add verbosity. Can you add now, just to make clear that he knows now, add all of the width and getters similar to the other chat option properties, okay? Including option set. I don't even know his stuff. Okay? And that is, I do AIP, which is the AI pack. So you can install the AI pack. It's super easy. You go there, aipack.ai. You click your stuff. It's a binaries things. There's some videos over there on Substack. It's open source. And then once you have that, you do AIP install pro.coder. So that is a pack procoder. It's very small, but very cool. And then you do AI pack, AIP, run pro.coder. And that will create this file, which is a pro prompt, which typically I put it on the right side like that. This might be a little bit too cram, but I put it like that. And then when I run it, if I have some prompt there, it's going to run it. And boom. And then I have a terminal UI like that, because I can have multiple runs. So every time I run, I see the stuff. I'm going to see the cost, the token, the completion. Here I see what I ask. And then it's sending all the files and everything. Yeah. And in fact, if you go to Procoder in AI Cache, you can even see prompt files. And here I show all of the files that has been sent to the prompt. So all of the knowledge files have been sent with a content, structure files, only file path. And then I'm sending as well the context files, which is just cargo, is always a good idea, it's very cheap. And then this one. Hopefully that makes sense. GPT-5 is working right now. Boom, GPT-5 is done. It cost us 3 cents. We have the reasoning. So I like to check that. I don't want to go too deep here, but that, the prompt token, the completion, and the reasoning, yeah, so it's the completion token was 1600 token, and of which 1200 were reasoning. Those numbers are the eyes of the AI, because with that numbers, you can really understand how the AI or the model is thinking, if it has it thinking hard, not too hard. So here, for example, we see that it has been thinking pretty hard to generate not that much, 400 token. Now, the other things that it tells me to say, well, the 400 token, the file was pretty low, is more than 400 token. But the cool thing with Procoder, if you look at what the AI responded, it responded search replace kind of things. So you just search replace what needs to be replaced. And if it's new files, it will replace everything. So now, because you had that, we go to chat option and we can see what I changed. So I do 2 ways. Either I check it like that, where I see the little bar over there, yeah, and then I can see what I changed with this bar as well. And it's like, okay, that makes sense. And then I go back there, and there should be another guy, which is good, which is in the verbosity. And it follows the whole pattern and stuff. So that was pretty good. So now, if I press save, this one is unused, so that's why we're seeing that. But it should work as before. And it should be relatively slow because, again, in our code here, we didn't say low. Oh, no, it should be fast. Why is it so slow? That's weird. Why all of a sudden is slow? That's weird. I'm stopping it. Okay, now it's fast. Sorry. So now it's fast. So something happened. Probably my request went crazy. And then I'm going to press save again. I'm going to check that it's relatively fast. Yeah, this one is just, and then if we just do a default option with nothing, that is going to be slower. That makes sense, yeah? And so now what we want is to have the with verbosity, and we're going to do verbosity low. Now, obviously, and I'm going to do a command dot on this one to import that, save. Obviously, that won't change anything because the only thing that we did is we added the option in the chat option, but we didn't put it in the adapter yet. So that is the next step I need to do. So right now, when I do this, it was a little bit fast, but it shouldn't really. Yeah, so this is a very good question here, Mohamed, about can we make AIP console as a VS Code extension? The strategies that I've followed so far is there is a little AI pack extension. By the way, some love will be good because Microsoft doesn't, I have the AI pack.ai, but they don't want to verify it because they say there's too many. So even if it doesn't do too much today, download it and add a plus such as Microsoft is nicer with me. But the point is, even if there is this one, which is just to help building AI pack, some comments and everything, and right now there's not much. But my point is, I'm trying to have, so it's a whole terminal UI. So it's actually, you see the task here, you can navigate the task, and when you have multiple runs, you can run them at the same time and so on. So I made it in a very advanced terminal UI in a way, but I'm trying to be IDE agnostic, because sometimes people run it into different places. So that is a little bit the point. And if I want to do a UI one day, I might have something that a pack can create its own web UI, and then we have a web UI URL, which is independent of VS Code. So that's the strategy right now, is try to be independent. Yeah. But the AI pack could be, I want to add stuff that links the two together, but I don't want AI pack to depend on VS Code. That is a little bit the strategy. Yeah. So this is a big release that I did, and I'm very bad at marketing, but it's the 0.8 that I did a couple of weeks ago. I did a demo on the Substack. And so now by default, you have the whole new terminal UI. And it's super powerful. It's out of this world. But because we have agentic knowledge optimization, agent that optimize multiple files at the same time, and it's all concurrent and everything. So I'm going to do some demos about that. It's pretty cool. But the point is, we're going back here, and with verbosity law, it's not implemented yet. So what we can see is my cargo watch is going to be, relatively verbose, because we haven't implemented it. So now I'm going to do the checkpoint. And that checkpoint, what is that checkpoint? Oh yeah. Well, that checkpoint, git log, and I can merge it here. There's no value for me to keep it separated. The only value is, did the AI messed up? That's the only thing. Did it change stuff that he messed up? And I don't think so, because it kept very stuff. So I'm going to do a git log, muscle memory, and git amend. Boom, squash it. Yeah? So now, make sure that I don't have any star over there. Okay, makes sense? So now we have that, and what we want is to go back to the adapter. So now we're going to get serious, and we're going to go back to the adapter. I'm thinking I need to think out loud. And my question is, in the adapter is, am I going to do it with AI, or are we going to do it manually? That is the question. And that is always a healthy. So because I have my ProCoder where I have the whole control, and that is not Cloud Code or Gemini Code or whatever, is I know exactly what I'm sending to the beast. Yeah? And it's a little bit more work up front, but then I have stuff. And because ProCoder split knowledge from context, which is the files that we work, and we even have working globes where we can work in parallel. That's for later. But because I have these kind of things, I'm super happy, because if I want, I just drag and drop whatever file I want. So for example, here, what I will do, actually, let's do like that. I will do this, and I will drag and drop that guy. I will do that. And now the cool thing is, the AI will only get that. It will know that there is more guys, but it will get that. So now what I can say here is to say, go back down. Let's do that. Actually, this is pretty cool. Without writing any code, can you give the actions or the plan or the steps to add the new verbosity parameter to the OpenAI request? And in OpenAI API is called Verbosity, and it's at the same level as the top P. Yeah, I think we have top P. Do we have top P? Yeah. There's a top K, I think, that I don't have, so that's why I never know which one I have or not. So now I do that, And so I could do it by hand, but I could do that. There's this guy here. Usually I don't like when I have this little guy, but this is unused, so that's fine. So that we're going to use it. It's going to become used. But here I want it to, without writing any code, to tell me, and I'm going to check it. So we're going to do that, and we're going to do the thing. Now, the cool thing again, it's a cool terminal. While it's running, I can still navigate everything. So it's done, it's open source, you can check it. It's on AI Pack, and it's using Ratatouille, which is amazing, with cross-term. And so I've done some videos when I was learning Ratatouille, and then I went very deep into the Ratatouille. So we have all this kind of UI now that while it's running, you can actually navigate the UI. Yeah. And there's a whole set of API where you can create custom agents in Lua. So that is a multi-stage, and you have all these APIs that are using mLua, and you can create your own agent doing crazy stuff. So everything is self-contained, 25 meg, written in Rust, fully concurrent. It's very powerful. So boom, is done. And usually when it writes files, it will write the files directly. But because I say don't write any files, this is everything outside of the file. So here's a concept step by step. Confirm input already exists. Chat option already exposed. Verbosity, okay. Oh, he's talking to himself. Yeah, okay. Add verbosity colon in OpenAI adapter. Stuff in chat option. Insert verbosity. Well, it's a little bit lame here. Well, unit integration test. Okay. Okay, I thought he was going to do a better job. Okay, well, I don't know why it's kind of weird. So when the write mode is true, the content here below is not included back in the prompt. So that is a decision that the procoder, the agent, has done. Yeah. So procoder is a pack of AI Pack, but AI Pack doesn't know about procoder. Procoder makes its own little rules here. So that's why it's framed like that, and it decides what to print, and the print, that's procoder, and so on. So what we're going to do is, result to do that, I'm going to say, now that we have added verbosity in the chat options, update. So that is to give it the context, because again, there's no history. Yeah? It's starting from scratch. Yeah? It's going to get the files and everything. So we need to give him a little bit what happened just before, such as, this is a very cheap way of giving him quite a bit of context. Yeah. The chat option, update the OpenAI adapter implementation, right place to add verbosity when it is defined in the chat options set. Okay, so I know that. And then make this code just after the rezoning effort. That is what I want, because I want the things, the code, reasoning and verbosity is very related. So I want it to have after. So I do that in my VS Code, and might add that to AI Pack. It's a little bit aggressive, but I have command R that send R to the terminal below. So if you have this terminal stuff, it will do the replay. And so here I can see, yeah, the first request was 3 cents. Second request was 4 cents, 45 seconds. I can do any model I want. I can put Flash here as long as I have the keys. It's open bar. I can even use the open source. I can even do something like that where there's fireworks, so you can fix your adapter, and then put GLM or whatever, yeah, GLM 5 or whatever, and then you can do the same thing with Together AI, for example, yeah, Together, and then boom, you have that. It's pretty good. So, okay, it's done. And this is why it's super important before you do AI, always make sure you have a clean, because now we have this AI thing. So we go back there, look at the stuff. Oh, this is pretty good. It's exactly what I wanted. So now what it did, if I go there, I go back to my little green guy over there. Okay, I'm going to Yeah, here. And this is exactly what I want. He used the same pattern. He didn't know this is a little value extension that I have for JSON. Doesn't even know it. But AI is good at following patterns. Say, hey, if that guy's work for that guy's work for this guy. Yeah. Now he did the same kind of thing there, which is good. Such as if it doesn't work, then we don't set it. We could. There will be a where ask keywords. Why is this one is option of static? Oh, because that doesn't make sense, yeah? That's the option of static, because I'm being mean for nothing, because it's always low. So in my head, it's like, well, why am I being mean? In fact, I'm being mean because there was a budget, guys, in the reasoning effort. So now the question that I have in my head is to say, well, should I be symmetrical to reasoning? And then having this API returning an option, even if it doesn't need to return an option. Yeah. So that's not the good reason anymore. Or should I change be asymmetrical and then have that being just a value? Yeah. So that is the thing that goes in my head right now. And I'm going to go with this way. But then the problem is, like, if our friend at Google want to show off and they do their budget business, then we're going to have to change the API. I'm going to keep it this way for now. For keyword, and then I don't know how to spell this guy, but I should use AI to be symmetrical with the returning effort as keyword. Yeah, that is the reason why here. And I think this is good. Now, well, I don't want to go to the API, but there will be a point that even if you have a budget and you ask keywords, that the thing, because in Gemini, the budget, if you do high, medium, low, I know how to match it to the budget number. So I might do the reverse here. There will be an argument to say, hey, you should do the reverse there. But I'm going to keep it this way. So that will work perfectly fine. And then that's it. That should be pretty it. Now, my question that I have in my head is, well, what happens if the model doesn't support verbosity? Yeah. So there's a lot of Grok, for example, is using the OpenAI, is using the same code. Olama is using the same code. Nebius is using the same code. Fireworks, DeepSeek. There's a lot of guys. And this one doesn't, but I'm going to move it to use the compatibility layer because Cohere is relatively small kind of guys. So I don't want to have their own. I can use the compatibility layer for those guys. But my point is, I don't want GenAI to be in the business of knowing what support what, because that is a big rat hole that I want to try to avoid to get into. So this is why I'm thinking about to keep it like this for now. And then we'll see if other models or provider will complain. That will be a good test. Or if they will silently ignore it. Yeah. So we'll see if they validate the schema or not. So now that we have this, we should be able to go there. And we have the verbosity low. And we're going to do our cargo watch. Oh, yeah, it works. Look at that. Slow, but works. Short. Yeah. And we do high. And that is pretty cool. I love when I add real features live. I don't know if people like it, but I like it. I don't know why. This is pretty cool. And that is a long one. I mean, so far so good. Looks to work good. And the default is medium. So if we don't say anything, it should be medium. Okay, and that is a medium guy. So that's cool. So now, what are we going to do here to do the test? So this is cool. So what we're going to do the test is something like that. I'm going to do, and by the way, I did a big update of GENAI because I'm working on releasing the 0.4, which has a lot of new functionalities. And one thing I've done, thanks to a CTO of an AI company, very cool, he had a very good suggestion of flattening out the message content to be more flexible. So there's quite a bit of API change, but they are not too intrusive because I'm in the README. If I go to the README, I'm saying what they are. Yeah. So before you had this, but now you can join text. So a message content has multi-parts by default all the time. But you have all of these convenient functions that you can get content out. Yeah. So that, and then this guy here has become first text. If you only want the first text, but typically you will do into join text or join text. That is what typically you would want to do. So anyway, all of that to say that now we want to do two requests, one with high and one with low. And we're going to say just the length. We don't really care about UTF-8 or not. And then, I mean, it will be a string, I guess, anyway. But then once we get the length, we compare the length, and we need to say that the high need to be at least 50% more than the low. Yeah? That would be a good enough kind of test. And then this stuff is always tricky to test. Yeah? So what we're going to do is chat raise low, high. No, we're not going to do it like this. We're going to do, I don't want to make it too complicated. So because we can do, and that is what I love in Rust, is to be able to do the shadow business. So I'm going to do something like this, where I'm going to do chat option. That. And this, for example, I don't really want AI to think about it. I like to be able to think about some of the stuff. So sometimes I delegate to AI. And with Procoder, I can have Procoder writing plans. We're going to see that later. But today it works kind of weirdo, but there's a way of you can write the plans, and then you ask Procoder, do the next one, do the next one, do the next one. And it goes to history. And so there's a pretty cool pattern to do like that. But the point is that on these guys, we're going to do the chat raise, and we're going to have the content low. And we're going to take the first content. Yeah, even this one would be, in fact, we're going to do this into text. No, into join. Oh, interesting. I didn't have it in the... Oh, that's interesting. Content. Oh, that is interesting. Okay. I need to think about this API here. That is a good one. So I'm not going to fix that. And the bug that we have with reasoning, I spotted a bug before reasoning. I don't want it in this commit. I want to have the reasoning bug. I want to have it in its own commit. So that is very important. So I'm going to do a chat trace. I'm not very happy with the API first text. Okay, that's fine. We'll take it like that. And then, so we can do that. And then we are going to have another one here. And then that is content low. And then we're going to have the content high. And that is high. Okay. And now what we're going to do is low, high. This is what I will do. If I were alone, I will do exactly like that. And the reason why is I don't need to know the sentence. I just want to have content low, and I just print them to get a sense of it. Yeah. And length. And then I'm going to do what do I do? An option slash, which is Copilot. Sometimes I use Copilot. They're not too bad. I mean, here we could have been, here was terrible actually. Content high. Is that because of me? Oh yeah, fair enough. Clone. Yeah. And then content high, length. This is what I want to compare. And then we're going to see what it is a low high. And this stuff is annoying, yeah, because it takes a lot of time. But you know what I can do? I'm going to do something pretty cool. Yeah, that's cool. So that is like 5 times or something like that. And so now what I can do is try to make this guy a little bit faster. We are going to use nano over there. Well, we cannot say what we use, yeah, because this needs to come from the top. Otherwise, we won't be able to do it anywhere else. But what I can do is I can have default so I have a builder here. I like this API. So I have a builder. And then I do with, what with do I have? I don't have. So I'm going to do a chat option. Option default and with reasoning. Can I do that? So okay, fair enough. And now I do the client builder. And I'm going to say with, I think, chat option. Yeah. So this is the pattern I have. And then I do a build. And that should work nicely. Boom, I have the client, and now it's low. So at least I have the low guys. And that is at the client. So at least that. So now this is low. We see that with low, it's funny, yeah? The delta is less because there is less reasoning, which is fair. Okay, well, it's varies. So what we're going to do, okay, we're going to say that the high, we're going to assert equal, and we're going to say that this, that the high divided by the low, can I divide? Can I divide, or is it going to complain here? So what I'm going to do is I'm putting that here, let D, because D is below it's the easiest key for me. And then use size. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so it does. So I'm going to assume it's rounded, which is fair enough. And then I'm going to do something like that. We don't need to be exact. We don't care. Yeah. So, and then if I run it, it's going to be 0 then. Oh, okay, I'm confused. No, 2. Okay, cool. Three. Okay. I think we're good. Yeah. So we need to say okay. So we're going to do ratio like that. I like to put that like this because this way, you know, we see the type and everything. And then we're going to do this way. And I'm going to say if ratio is need to be superior or equal to, otherwise the content, the high was not high enough compared to the low. Okay, whatever. Now we do that, and I'm missing something here. It's not assert equal, it's just assert. And then that should work pretty nicely. Boom. And I think we're good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy. I don't want the GPT Nano guy. I'm going to save there. And I don't know which one I have by default in test. OpenAI. GPT 5 mini, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah. We could use Nano, but it's fine for now. And then that's it. And I'm not going to add that to other kind of adapters test, like Olama and things, because I don't think they have it, and that will be for another day, I guess. But I think that is pretty cool. If you have any question here, and in the future here, I'm trying to catching back. Hello, we can use the IP, VS Code, or yeah, with the UI. I've used the NX console for Angular, and it's awesome. But your point being is independent console is good. Yeah. It's Mohammed. It's tricky. Yeah, I don't think there's a universal answer. So I think that is cool. So the way that I will do it now is go back here and git log. And I will say, well, I could amend it, I guess. If I were alone, I would probably do a git amend, honestly, because, well, let's say that I am alone. Git amend. So that will collapse it to this guy. Git log. Now, obviously, I don't want to commit that. I want everything there. So I could do the rebase by hand, interactive and stuff. But one thing I like is, and I bought a license of that, I highly recommend it. I know VS Code has some stuff, but I like a lot. The only thing I'm not a big fan of, my only little complaint about fork, so that is a cool application, is this guy. Where are they? Yeah. I don't know if it's on Windows, but fork app, Git. Yeah, so this one. Yeah, so this is a cool application for Mac and for Windows. Yeah, they have both. Yeah, and it's very cheap, and it's $60 for life and stuff. So this is for all the version. It's dirt cheap, and I like it a lot because sometimes I want to navigate a lot. The only thing I don't like about it, and it's more for them, yes, is I cannot make it big, the font. So it's hard for me when I do videos like that to show how cool it is. But what I'm doing is I'm going to do that. And I like to do interactive rebranch, squash into parents. And I go back here. You can do it with command line. Yeah, you don't need it. I'm sure that VS Code has something. I just like this interface, and I go there once in a while. Boom. And then now I have my NX super clean over there. Now I'm going back there, and I'm going to make sure that I don't have any of these guys. Yeah, so that is my when I do coding, this is my debug print. So I make sure that I don't have anything like that. And I think I'm pretty happy. So I will go there and I will go another test probably. I will do stop that guy, cargo wash test. So that is my little function things. At the beginning, I show the screen. And then I will do a test -p -OpenAI. And then I will do a test chat. So that will test all the chat to make sure that I didn't break other stuff. Now, sometimes I do cargo tests as well because you want to test everything. In this particular kind of libraries, and so this one is annoying here, should have prompt token details, but that sometimes it breaks, sometimes it doesn't break. So it's the problem with AI. Yeah. So I think the cache, sometimes there's a cache miss. And so there's no way for me to know if there's going to be a cache hit or cache miss. Yeah. They have ways where you can put a token key, but even that is not guaranteed. So it's a whole rat hole over there. And this one, yeah, so I don't know if this one today might be a bad day. Test P, OpenAI, and I'm going to test only that function. So that is a cool thing about this model, yeah? I can test all the test chat or test underscore, and then I can test only one function. So here I'm testing function, and the same strategy, I have 2 requests going there. Now, if this one breaks, it kind of passes here. So it's a little bit annoying. And it's a little bit annoying for everybody else because they have also these kind of things. But typically, if I do that, I'm going to do a test chat, and I'm going to test grok, for example, with a Q. And XAI is using the OpenAI adapter as well. Boom. So this one is super fast, working nicely. So I didn't add the verbosity because I'm assuming they're not supporting it. And I will add it. Yes. But that's it. Git log, that's nice. Git switch, I have main. And then git branch A. If you have any question, ask. I don't know how many people are there. I might be talking to myself. No, 9. It's pretty good. And then I'm going to see that, and I'm going to do. So this guy this guy I can remove it. I'm going to clean it actually. This is already been merged. This is where I'm going to use my fork here. Yeah, this has been merged here. I could check it as well there. I have a little thing to check there. And somehow it's always better. Oh yeah, it's there. I could check it like that. And now I go to git log and git branch A. I'm going to do I'm going to merge first because I don't want to make a silly mistake. Boom. Git log. I'm happy. And I do a git branch. If you have any question, ask. It's going to be soon the end of this guy. And I'm going to remove this guy. Branch D. I'm going to remove this guy as well. No, I'm not going to remove it. I like to keep it a day or 2 just to make sure I'm not. I don't know why, just because I hate deleting stuff. But I like to keep things as clean as possible. So it's always a back and forth. Okay, so that is it. Any question? Feel free to ask. And we just added that into the Rust library. So today what I have is the version 0.4, alpha 14. So that will probably go into the alpha 14. There's because I've merged a whole message content stuff in the chat request, I realized that I need to change some of the things. So today, for example, in the test, command test here, we are using first text, which is good. The name is not too bad. I can ask all the text of all the segments. Okay. I need to see if I'm not sure I need to have a vector of message content anymore, because the message content is a stuff. So that is what I need to look at the API. I have one question. As you develop open source, you follow Git for that, branches, etc. What strategy? Yeah, the strategy that I have for open source is main, and it's funny because it's different from my cloud app. Main is what will go to the next release no matter what. It's things that I'm very comfortable to go to the next release. The NX branch is when I work on something a little bit big or I'm not sure. I put it in an NX branch for a while and then I work on it. Then I merge. Sometimes it's one commit, sometimes it's multiple. And then I put it back on main. So that is for open source usually is this kind of strategy. For cloud application, it's almost the opposite. Main is gold and main is only what has been deployed to the cloud after. And then I have a dev branch, dev or develop or whatever you want to call it, which is the next main release coming. And then we have branches, not per feature, but if we have a big project or something that lasts for a long time, it might have a branch. And then we always rebase all the time. Yeah. So that is a way that we do, such as the dev commit will always come after whatever master, even if we do a patch release on master. So that is a little bit the way we do, and it's pretty common. So hopefully I answer your question. And for my personal project, I follow main as completed code, dev for development. Yes, that makes sense. And feature is what is currently in progress. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think, yeah, as long as, you know what is the goal branch, the main branch is fine. In the case of open source for this library, sometimes people know that main, when they fork from main, and then they do a pull request from main. So that's why usually I do it like that. But yeah, there's other ways. Okay, hopefully that was, yeah, you are definitely on the right path. This is good. But it's funny that you asked me the question, and I just realized that I have a different strategy. I have the opposite strategy, not the opposite, but different strategy for libraries or open source and cloud application. Yeah, in my cloud application, I always make sure that master is only what has been deployed. But in this case, my main branch is what is going to be released. Yeah, in a way. So it's a little bit the opposite. But when I work on stuff, I put it long term, I put it in other branches. Yeah. Okay, so I hope that was helpful to some. And thanks a lot for coming. And until next one, happy coding.